G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drew's Adventures. I'm here at the Eureka Centre in Ballarat, Victoria, and we are going to be having a look at this little museum and collection which is really important to Australia's history. The Eureka Stockade occurred in December 1854, and it is just an incredible piece of Australian history where people stood up for their rights against the British Empire at the time, which was really causing them a lot of issues. We're going to have a look at this museum, and we're going to place ourselves in the very heart of this incredible piece of Australian history here.
Eureka story and the stockade throughout.
Awesome.
There is a little map of our park.
Cool.
Next couple of pages have information on the monuments and memorials are out there.
Yep.
Then we also have a map of Ballarat. Highlighted ones there are just buildings and places that will tie back to the stockade.
Excellent.
So in there, it is a digital experience. Yep. So we've got screens everywhere.
Yep.
So it'll tell the story of the stockade.
Cool.
We do have the flag from 1854 as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. So you can take photos.
The original history. Yeah. No flash. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jodie. Here we go. Here's a poster here of it. This was done in 1948, this poster. And it was by an unknown artist, so we don't know who did that one. Okay. Here we go. 1851, gold fever gripped the colony of Victoria, with diggings springing up across the area now known as the Central Victorian Goldfields. Ballarat experienced a short gold rush in the late 1851, and by 1852 thousands of diggers were based here in a continued search for gold that lasted well into the 20th century. The newly formed government struggled to manage the sudden population growth across the colony. Workers quit their day jobs to join the search in huge tent cities that freckled the landscape. The settlements soon became more permanent. Some struck it rich, but most were not so fortunate. Regardless of their luck, new opportunities arose for those clever enough to supply the diggers with all manner of goods, food, drink and entertainment. We have a replica of perhaps the most famous gold nugget found in this region. This is the Welcome Nugget. It was discovered in 1858 and it was 99.6% pure gold and weighed 68.98 kilograms, as much as a person. And Richard Jeffrey was the lucky miner who struck the monster nugget, found in a tunnel ceiling at the Red Hill Gold Mining Company's abandoned claim, an area that had been turned over several times by other prospectors. Isn't that incredible? Down here we have a little gold pan. And this is probably the basic tool of all gold searches. And basically you place your gravel, soil, sand in with some water, and then the gold, which is heaviest, would settle at the bottom of the pan. The Victorian government was nervous about the thousands of newcomers brought by the discovery of gold in 1851, and it introduced a licence system to try and keep order. It was very unpopular, as you could expect, and it cost you £2 back in those days, and it would allow you to dig for only 3 months. And essentially, anyone found without a licence was facing prison time or a big fine. So this is where people started to get very upset by the government of the time. We'll start here. This is the conflict on the diggings. So you had a lot of upset amongst those who were trying to make it on the goldfields. And there was a miner, James Scobie, on the 7th of October 1854 who was unalived outside the Bentley's Eureka Hotel. And essentially, that started a reform league. And that reform league was led by Commander-in-Chief, Peter Lalor, and he said, "We swear by the Southern Cross to stand truly by each other and fight to defend our rights and liberties." The miners constructed a crude stockade made of timbers, carts, cartwheels and other debris. Firearms were commandeered, pikes made, and miners practiced military-style drills. Head-on conflict became unavoidable. We've got a depiction here of the stockade and what occurred. As you can see, the men made these sort of fortified installations, and the British soldiers were not happy campers about that. So this is a depiction of it, obviously. There are no formal photographs that I'm aware of that show the actual events, but it does give you an idea of just how upset these people were that their issues were not being taken seriously. Okay, here we go. So, it's a bit of an interactive part there with that painting. The battle occurred 3rd of December 1854. Now that is summer for us in Australia, and it occurred just before dawn. The government troops and police attacked a group of miners and their families at the stockade. The day before, there had been about 1,500 people in the stockade, but they assumed that nothing would happen, so many went home and only 150 people remained in the stockade area. Now, as you can see, 150 remained, and 276 government soldiers, cavalry and police assembled at 2:30 a.m. They moved off in the whispering dark, sighting the rebel position just before dawn. At around 4:30 a.m, a shot from the stockade rang out and the battle was on. In just 15 hellish minutes, the stockade was overrun, leaving dozens wounded and more than 30 people dead or dying. In the following hours, 114 people were arrested. The actual death toll and wounded toll has never really been resolved, but eyewitness accounts give details of casualties not officially recorded. It has a contested history. For over 160 years, people have argued about what it meant. Was it a political revolution leading to the birth of Australian democracy, or simply a riot? Does the truth lie somewhere in between? Now, as you go around here, on the top part here, there are a number of displays. So you've got these bits and pieces of history of this incredible event. Go for a loop around that. There's another depiction of it there, when the men from the Reform Commission, men and women from the Reform Commission, swore allegiance to the Southern Cross. It's very much Australia's, I suppose, civil war, only civil war in some senses. Quite incredible. Got a number of artefacts here from this area. Some old bottles there. Don't drink the water. Little medicine bottles here. That is incredible. How many years living in a tent? Yeah, that'd be mighty cold, especially in winter. So many little artefacts here that they've recovered. A lot of Chinese coins too. Chinese came over from Robe often in South Australia, and I've actually found some of these coins. There's some of the early tools to gold mine. Just incredible. There you go. Down with the licence fee. Down with despotism. A meeting on Bakery Hill. Flags as symbols. So of course the Eureka flag became synonymous with this event, but every flag has its own little story. There we go. And the constellation of the Southern Cross was chosen as the symbol for the miners' flag because it is unique to the Southern Hemisphere, representing a break with the old world. For gold rush migrants, the flag embodied their belief that life in Australia could and would be different from the lives they left behind in Europe and elsewhere. Over time, the Eureka flag has become a symbol to represent values including liberty, equality and justice. It was prominently adopted by the trade union movement in Australia and can be seen flying over building sites. We are going to go into the heart of the Eureka story. This is the flag, okay? So this is the original flag, and as we go around here, we aren't allowed to take flash photos, but we can do a little video in here. I did ask permission about this, so look at that. That's the original Eureka flag. That is incredible. So much detail in it. Let's go up to this little glass case. You can see how it was even stitched. Now, it is unknown who actually designed it, I believe. There's a few attributions, but nothing set in stone. And what a symbol of Australian uprising, rebellion and independence in many ways. The death toll at Eureka. The final death toll at Eureka will never fully be known. After the battle, 114 diggers were arrested. Martial law was declared the next day, and anyone connected with Eureka was at risk. Some of the wounded were quietly spirited away to safe places to recover and may well have died later. Some unidentified diggers were reported buried on the day. It was not until May 1855 that an amnesty was passed by Parliament, removing any threat of criminal conviction for participants at Eureka. The lists below show the registered deaths of those identified by the registrar. Here is the list of official deaths according to government papers. A lot of people from Russia and Germany, Canada, Ireland, Wales, Scotland. And here is the unofficial deaths here. So we've got quite a few. I like that name, Happy Jack. Poor fella. There you go, you can actually have a look at that source if you're interested. eurekaschildren.org.au. Now here's a little bit of information about the charter of the Ballarat Reform League. And the league was formed to protest the Victorian government's administration of the goldfields. Very interesting. So it was very much an early union, I suppose, in many ways. There's a copy there of the actual charter. Sort of like a Declaration of Independence in some ways. Not quite, but close. There we go. It says folklore has it that the flag was designed by one of the miners, Captain Henry Ross from Canada, and made by 3 diggers' wives, Anastasia Hayes, Anastasia Withers, and 16-year-old Anne Duke. Another theory was that the flag was made by a tent maker, but there's just not enough evidence to give us a clear answer. I took the flag down. This is the flag. So we actually kept the flag. That was John King, one of the troopers. It's pretty cool. So that's the story of how the flag came to be. And you can sit in here and just admire that piece of Australian history. Quite incredible. And to think that this was probably Australia's only civil war. Here's some of the soldiers' wear. Of course, Victoria had only become its own colony around 3 or 4 years before the Eureka Stockade occurred. Just incredible. The old bayonet there. Old handcuffs. And the old police truncheons. Ouch. It's quite brutal, and I think that's a little drinking flask. It's very interesting there. It says American citizens who were supposed to have participated in the late riots at Ballarat. Can't really make out the proper names there, but that's very interesting. And there's the old uniform, look at that. Sometimes you still find old buttons like that around the place. It's one of the defendant barristers. That says the government prosecuted 13 or more of more than 100 people arrested near Eureka Stockade on 3rd of December 1854. They were charged with high treason, a serious charge that was actually difficult to prove. And this was the gentleman Richard Ireland who defended those who were involved. There are a number of interactive displays as well, all through this part. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. The accused. It's pretty cool. Here's a bit of a timeline clock. You can spin that around and see the different events that led up to the Eureka Stockade. It's pretty interesting. That is incredible, isn't it? By the end of 1854, 25,000 people were living in Ballarat, mostly on the diggings, camping in tents or small log huts. Along Main Road, many stores and hotels were open for business. And Move that across. There we go. The leads. Buried riverbeds containing gold. Two of Ballarat's most famous leads were Eureka Lead to the east of the diggings and the Canadian Lead further south. Both of these leads were discovered in 1852 and gradually attracted more and more fortune hunters to the area, right up to the peak of the gold rush in 1856. Let's move it across. Stockade. Just before dawn on 3rd of December 1854, the stockade was attacked by 300 soldiers and police. More than 1,000 people helped erect the wooden barricade, but many of them had drifted away by Saturday night. 150 or so left inside were quickly defeated by government forces, who managed to breach the makeshift structure within 20 minutes. After the troops broke through the stockade, they continued their attack, butchering diggers, shooting at women and children, and setting tents alight. It's this little interactive piece here.
And commenced drilling. They possessed themselves of all the arms and ammunition which were within their reach. They established patrols and placed parties on the high roads leading to Melbourne and Geelong, searched all carts and drays for weapons, coerced the well-affected, issued orders signed by the Secretary to the Commander-in-Chief of Diggers Under Arms.
So come and check this place out for yourself if you are coming to Victoria in Australia. It is well worth a look at this really important piece of Australian history, and a piece that is really a once-off in Australian history as well. Like I say, there's never been any other formalised rebellion against government in Australia aside from what happened in Eureka in 1854. We've had a good look around. Let's have a look at the little gift shop